What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody doing? Shout out to everybody already hanging out in the chat, man. We appreciate the love and the support, man. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, man. We hope you guys are all enjoying your weekend, having a great time with the show. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Please share the link. You guys know, come in, kick your feet up. We appreciate the continued support. We always got fun stuff to talk about, new guests every week. So please, please, please retweet the link. Let everybody know Shop Podcast is live. So let's just go ahead and get started with our guest, man. So first time guest here. He's been a fan of the show. We've been talking pregame, talking about a lot of topics that we're going to cover with you guys here today on the show. Shout out to everybody in chat. Appreciate Shon Su Mod of the Year, OCD Gamer. Thank you, bro, for hanging out with us. Let everybody know we live right now. But yeah, let's start with you, Psychonauts. Appreciate you hanging out with us, man. We already came in, talked a little bit earlier. How you doing? Let everybody know what's going on with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. I've been listening to you guys for a while, and excited that I may be able to be on the show and interact with you guys. It's awesome. I just been chilling all day today, kind of doing stuff around the house, and just been taking it easy. Nothing
Awesome.
too exciting.
Nah, it's all good. Hey, look, man, you're not really supposed to be doing much on the weekend anyway. So, do a
Right?
little chores
That's what
around
I'm
the
saying.
house, a little
Yeah.
gaming, do all that kind of stuff. But we appreciate you hanging out with us once again, chat. Show him some love. You know how we do, very accommodating. We'll have the best chat on YouTube, by the way. Shout out to everybody watching live. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our two right hand men here. So we're gonna start with you, Pong Harvey. How you been? We got a lot of stuff on the stove this week to talk about. So how you been, man?
Hey, a nice normal week. I actually even got an extra show in on RDX on Tuesday night. So, back to normal again after last week's weirdness. But no, fantastic to be here. Obviously, awesome to have brother from another Psychonauts on here. Know this man well, and it's about dang time he get on the show. So, Psycho, welcome, sir. Great to hear from you, PTK, and of course Fuzzy as well. But yeah, it's been one heck of a week here, man. Again, news just keeps rolling along.
Man.
New games keep dropping. It's insane. I think a smarter man than me might have once called this the golden age of gaming. I don't know. So I think it's coming true each and every week. Yeah, but we do have some great topics tonight. Chat, you're all looking amazing. Thank you for joining us each and every week here on the Shop Podcast. Let's get down to business, PTK.
Man, shout out to you, man. Always bringing the energy, the battery of the show, people, the Duracell battery of the show, man. Appreciate you, Pong, every single week, bro, bringing that energy, man. And Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man, how you doing? Let everybody know. Now, minus the GT7 rage, we're gonna exclude all of that. So, other than that, how are you doing this week, brother?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Like King of Fighters released some new characters and things, and still having fun with Insurgency. And man, there's still a lot of games to play. Tunic just dropped, Shredders just dropped. So yeah, it's enjoyable. It's very fun right now as far as this golden age, as Pong says. So man, I can't wait to get to these topics.
Let's dive in, man. Once again,
that'll be 50 cents, Fuzzy, by the way.
Yeah, we charging for everything on this. You got to restructure your contract. See, that's what you got to do with Pong, Fuzz. Got to be careful. He'll get you on the back end. You got to be careful. Anyway, man, shout out to everybody in the chat. General Spartan, Ashtray Gaming, Jasper Gaming. Appreciate you guys. Always in here, always hanging out with us, man. Thank you. Let's go and get started, man. We don't really have much else to do but talk about these great topics. So we start with the poll of the week. So you guys know what we do. Shout out to almost the 800 people who voted on poll of the week this week. You guys always turn up. I always try and make the questions fun. Always try and make them, engaging. So you guys always do a great job of supporting that. So once again, poll of the week every Monday on my Twitter. Follow that all down in the description below. Appreciate you guys. So this week we're talking a little bit about Activision Blizzard, Xbox. So as long as the Activision Blizzard deal goes through, Xbox will now have 2 first-party studios that have made Marvel games. Which game would you prefer to see return? We had 3 options. Well, ultimately 2 plus kind of an open option. We had Marvel Ultimate Alliance, we had Deadpool, and then we had the other option. So Deadpool actually ran away with this 46%. And I believe Deadpool was High Moon Studios, which once again, as soon as this deal goes through, will be a first-party studio for Xbox. So Ultimate Alliance, 38%, second, and then other 16% has some great options in there too. So we're gonna start with you, Psychonauts. Once again, chat, let us know how you feel about the poll of the week. We're gonna start with you, Psychonauts. So we had two options plus kind of an open-ended. If those studios end up, which there's like almost 100% chance they'll end up actually being first party, what do you think that those options will be for that Marvel studio or to make a Marvel game?
Ooh, to make a Marvel game again? I mean, they've been making Marvel games for a long time. I mean, we got X-Men Legends 2, X-Men's Legend. They got X-Men the official movie games. They even did Spider-Man before Insomniac took over. So I mean, there's so much that that they have done, and they know the material. So I would love. I mean, to me, I would love to get an X-Men game back again. Either like a Marvel Alliance or the Marvel X-Men Legends, something like that. That'd be really good. It's because what was it? Raven Software that did the X-Men Legends, so and they did Marvel Alliance. So like, if they could bring that back, holy crap! I mean, that would talk about Xbox doesn't have any comic games, and then you bring like an X-Men Legends or a Marvel Alliance. God, I'd be overflooding with so many superheroes that you can then split off and do like standalone games. The possibility is just endless.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They got a lot of room to play with. They got a lot of IPs to work with. Once again, that's all pending this deal goes through. So you guys turned up once again for poll of the week, man. Shout out to you, Psychonauts. Please chat, show him some support. Go follow him. All that information down in the description below. Thank you guys for showing up, hanging out with us this evening. But I agree with you, Psychonauts. They have a lot to work with there. I did enjoy the Deadpool games. Those are always really good. They're really underrated games, even last generation. Really fun, always well done. Always kind of stuck with the humor. They did really nail the humor of the character, and that's hard to do with Deadpool. Very similar to the movie. So they really nailed the character. So I'd love a new Deadpool. Once again, chat, let us know what you got. What options would you guys choose from a Marvel IP that Xbox will have now as first party? So we're gonna throw this over to you, Pong. I believe you voted. You might have even left the actual comment about this.
No, I did not leave.
You didn't?
Nope.
Oh,
I saved my comments for here usually.
Okay.
Unless it requires
egregious.
Unless you have a terrible poll up, but you've been doing pretty well lately.
Oh, awesome! Thank you. I appreciate your your opinion, Pong.
Look, I chalk everybody up to being wrong on this poll to the fact that people forget how great Marvel Ultimate Alliance actually was, and Avengers leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance is still one of my most favorite games from any comic book game out there. I think that right there is the primo, and I think Nintendo stealing it away, making it an exclusive to Switch was an issue.
It was bad.
Yeah. So I had to vote Marvel Ultimate Alliance because I think it's got a place, on a regular basis, because there is so many stories to tell, and that's top-down style action brawler with all the characters from Marvel, especially nowadays with how much the universe has expanded. There is so much room to grow in that, and I would love to see them go back to that. That would be my dream come true. And again, I might be a little bit biased myself. Nostalgia gets to me all the time, but my when the first one came out, me and the kiddo played that to death. It was so much fun sitting down and co-oping with him on that game. But yeah, I really would like to see Marvel Ultimate Alliance come back. Deadpool, again, I never played the first game. Deadpool's a cool character. I like him as a character. I enjoyed the movies when I watched them, but ultimately I would like to see more of the characters involved. And that's when you get into that kind of that fantasy of being able to pick my favorite my favorite Marvel characters and deciding, oh wait, I don't want to play Spider-Man anymore. Now I'm gonna go play Phoenix, Jean Grey, right? And being able to switch out and do all that I love that aspect of those types of games. Yeah. So that's where I would go with it. So Marvel Ultimate Alliance was my vote.
Okay. I mean, you really can't go wrong. I mean, Ultimate Alliance is a phenomenal game, and there is a bit of a separation there. I do think, Pong, what you mean as far as you think people are forgetting how good Marvel Ultimate Alliance actually is. And I'm not even into those kind of games. You know me, I'm pretty rigid on that. Like I'm trying Elden Ring. I've loosened up a little bit, I've done some things, played some games I traditionally don't play, but I really enjoyed Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I remember playing it on PlayStation, actually at the time, on PlayStation. Very, very fun game, great game. For that type of game, for me, it actually was fairly like fast paced. It didn't feel like I was playing it didn't feel like I was playing chess, It kind of felt like things were moving, stuff was happening, so very well executed. Yeah,
absolutely. And Jasper makes a great point. You can have Deadpool in a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, so therefore you get the best of both worlds.
True. So, good point. Good point. No, that's true. I mean, if we really being honest here, so that's true. All right, well, let's go ahead and actually throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion on, where you're at on this, and just what do you think about, which would you choose?
I picked Deadpool, but yeah, it makes sense. Ultimate Alliance, you could have Deadpool in there. It's funny. Sony doesn't have the exclusive rights on Wolverine, although they do have that new contract with, I guess, Marvel for this upcoming game. I would have preferred, to have Wolverine as one that they possibly tack on later. But Deadpool is a fun enough one that I think everybody would probably enjoy. But if you could have more of the Marvel universe in, Marvel Alliance, it would probably make more sense to go along those lines. But I voted Deadpool on this one just because, like, let's start off small with just one character at a time and go from there, type of thing.
No, we throw them all in.
Fuzzy,
just throw them all in.
I was going to say Fuzzy being conservative this week. My goodness. Did you hear that, Pong? Oh, my. Right?
Right.
Jesus. What is that? Fuzz, are you here? What was
that? I think a certain game has kind of demotivated me to think.
I was just going to say.
I was just going to say it, too.
This must be some
dreams and hopes.
Oh, see what you did? Golly. What do we got? Pong, is there anything we could do to motivate?
Motivate Fuzzy?
Yeah. Anything we could say? Words of wisdom.
No, we just need to announce something.
No, he just needs motorsport in his life and everything will be fine. So as long as that comes to fruition on E3, everything will be great again. So I think we gotta wait a few months.
Gotta wait a little bit. So you'll be all right. You'll be all right, Fuzz. So we'll manage. We'll figure it out, chat. We always do. But anyway, no. So once again, I think that there's a lot of choices there. Basically, what we're saying, and this is the idea that this can happen and probably will, is insane, right, Pong? Like, right? This was asinine a couple months ago, right? Like,
right.
What?
But this is what we talk about, right? So this is what we covered when this all went down.
Yeah,
all the potential and possibilities, and again. Phil fed right into that with his early comments right after the announcement of talking about looking at that back catalog and going, let's go, right? I mean, that was Phil's exact words. Like, he's excited about what they could do with this. So yeah, the potential for us to see a return of so many different franchises, including a potential Marvel franchise. Yeah, absolutely. That's what gets us as gamers who've been around for a while excited, because new IP is fantastic. But old IP that's been collecting dust and deserves more attention nowadays, that's what we really, really do like to see as well. So, there's a lot of untapped potential that we could see out of this deal. So hopefully it gets announced sooner rather than later as completed, so we can get going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We want that thing ready to go, cooking off the stove. But once again, appreciate everybody in chat. Stanley, Zinc, appreciate you guys hanging out. Ashtray, shout out to you. No frauds. I don't see Blue anywhere, so Ashtray probably ran him off. So he may pop in here a little bit later. Shout out to Blue if he pops in here, man. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. So we're gonna talk a little bit about a game called Starfield. I actually really should let you just go with this, Pong.
I love these weeks. You know that, BTK? I love these weeks.
Look, listen,
and we've got months of this coming up.
You see how he's acting, Fuzzy? You see this?
Yeah.
You see this? This is ridiculous.
Well, this is like me for Forza, so you know.
That's true. Good point.
Right.
We gotta let you get your shit off. We gotta let you get your shit off. So we'll let the guests go, you know, per usual, and then we'll
Absolutely.
go ahead and do our thing. But shout out chat, man. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us, man. We diving in here. Hit the like button, subscribe. You guys always show love anyway. But thank you guys, Abba Cab. What's up, brother? Shout out to you hanging out. But we're gonna start with you, Psychonauts. We talked a little bit about this pregame.
Yes,
we talked about this, and there's a lot to cover with the information that we got, the interview, that video that Bethesda put out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, is what I'm gonna say. Now, once again, let's be clear about this. Elden Ring is a phenomenal game. It's a phenomenal game. But in my opinion, what I think Starfield can be, I mean, we may be looking at something that we've never never even seen before. We'll dive in on this chat. Let us know how you guys feel about this. But we'll dive in. We're talking a little about this Starfield info dump. But we'll start with you, Psychonauts. Where you at on this? How did you break down and kind of process what we were getting, man, and what they talked about? And it's not gameplay, and we'll see that. We know we will. This is kind of what Bethesda does.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh,
go ahead.
There is so much that, you know, with the info dumps, what they, you know, released. Now, granted, with the leaks that, you know, and the information that we did get, a grain of salt, because it could be not 100% fact. You know, there's so much that there was in those leaks that. But if just a part of what they have released is true, holy crap, this game is going to be on a massive scale. I mean, like we were saying behind the scenes, you got multiple planets. I don't know if it's going to be 12 or however many they're going to give us on release date, but every planet is going to have it's pretty much the size of a Skyrim map, a little bit bigger, they said, to each planet. And if they have, let's say, if they don't go the full, you know, 12 that, you know, the leak says, let's say they bring us 7 planets, but that's 7 Skyrim maps in one game. Just imagine everything that they had to put in there, the flora, the environment, creatures, humanoids, or depending, you know, aliens, because you know, they touch that aliens are going to be kind of evolving the story, and we're going to learn. So we might not see, like, right off the bat, we might not see aliens. So it's an ongoing process in the story of what we're going to be revealed in that aspect with the, but still, I mean, like, you got each environment, especially, you know, if they've been following and getting their to what is it, SpaceX, NASA, and all, getting true information. So you got the environments, the gravity, like each planet, you know, depending on if it's going to be, you know, X amount of times gravity as Earth. I mean, just the amount of detail that they are putting into this game is just insane. Each and planets have moons, so the gravity is different. It's just nuts on what they are building in this game. And that's the thing. It's like, people are like, you can't be excited for a game that you haven't seen play gameplay. But it's like, serious, like, the stuff that we have read and the things that they have given us, it just makes you just start thinking of, okay, well, is it going to have this? It's going to have that. You're allowed to just sit there and speculate what you think is going to be in the game for something, because we know the track history of Bethesda games and how good, you know, Oblivion, or even Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, all the Fallouts. I mean, it's just, you know, their track history. So when the A team of Bethesda is working on the game, you need to watch. You need to sit and listen, and and
That's a good point.
And everything that they in that video, when it was like that little round table, do you see how excited freaking Todd Howard was getting?
Oh, dude,
just
they
talking
were
about the
all
game,
lit up, dude. They were all lit up.
Oh my god, I'm sitting there like that got me hyped, and then that little snippet of that companion, like I'm like, are we getting just a snippet of gameplay right there, like in engine, and then I'm like, holy shit, that looks freaking gorgeous. I'm like, I am ready for E3. Let it be June already. Holy crap, let's go.
Man. No, I feel you. That's that. So I loved the little round table, and that got me so excited. Their interaction, they all lit up about the game. They all lit up about just the excitement on Todd's face talking about this. And once again, we're gonna let Pong really spill on this. Like this topic is really for Pong for the most part. But we're gonna throw it over to you, Fuzz, and just kind of get your opinion. Did you watch the round table?
Oh, yes.
And once again, Fuzz, like this is we do this all the time. This is fun. We have fun with this. I get it. We're going to compare it to other games. Elden Ring is going to get the comparison, things like that. But just, minus all of that, your own personal expectations on like what could Starfield be? Could we bookend the year with 2 generational games?
I think we will. I mean, the thing that's funny about it is being a sci-fi fan, just knowing some of the stuff that they had talked about, even prior to the roundtable, they had talked about like the different factions and, the different, like companies that you can trade with and things along those lines. So all of that was interesting in and of itself, just that alone. To see the roundtable and like Psychonauts had hinted to, like with Todd Howard, his excitement and the team's excitement, like their confidence that is clearly, oozing out of them as far as how they talk about the game. And it's just, we're just getting like this hint or peek at this game. It made for what we can kind of prepare for. It's almost like when you and this is kind of like a weird comparison, like when you look at like Tim Schafer for like Psychonauts, like how he was saying, they with the MS money being able to invest in doing like the boss fights and things like that, how it helped them be able to complete their original vision. You could tell they've been working on this vision for a while, and they're just letting us see a hint of it and how much is already in this game and in the works. And they're just going to give us like a little brief taste of that, just in that, what was it, like 6 minutes that they were sitting there or something along those lines. So it's, I was already excited for the game. Yes, I know there are a bunch of people claiming, well, I didn't see gameplay. You know what? If you're not excited without having, like, if gameplay is a must for you to be excited, I hear you, but that's not me. I'll be excited either way. I can't wait until November type of deal, or any other, snippets that we get in between now and then. But for the most part, just knowing like some of the stuff that even after the fact, like I don't know how true some of these little leaks are, as far as like you could be with the pirates and then report against them type of thing.
Like crazy. They were talking about that. Like, how about you join an actual bad side? You're good, but you're doing bad stuff and it's conflicting. And how does that all work? And like, what the fuck? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Space narc. You're a space narc.
Yeah.
just those little things of the game, and like the companion that we got to see, like your robot companion on the ship, and I'm wondering how you can like work towards building your crew and things along those lines. I'm so looking forward to getting even more details on those. But that in itself was enough to continue my excitement for this game, and look forward to more of these little roundtable things. Hopefully, I don't know if they have to do them every month, but at least every other month would be kind of cool and be something to really look forward to until we get to November. But I was pretty hyped up about it.
Dude.
Hope others enjoy what they saw so far, and I'll let Pong, because he's probably hyperventilating right now.
Man, Pong is chomping at the he's chewing on his microphone right now, I bet. Anyway, we'll throw this over to you, Pong. But once again, Chad, let us know what you guys think, man, about this Starfield kind of info dump, this roundtable, and just the expectations. I know we do this stuff with the leaks. I get it. Once again, we have fun with that kind of stuff here. Whether or not it's true, it is something that we do talk about. We do cover here at the Shop Podcast because once again, it may or may not be relevant, but it's something that we, have fun with here. But we're going to get this over to you, Pong, and take it away, bro.
Well. First of all,
man, wait a minute. Wait. Do I have to do some type of disclaimer?
No, you don't have to do anything.
Okay, I just want
to. No. We're gonna do good. First of all, shout out to Zinc for completing my night here at the Shop Podcast with one of his fantastic takes that he always comes in here with. I appreciate that. It's a little early in the show, but I'm feeling good right now. Again, Elden Ring looks like a Sega Master System game. Thank you, Zinc, for what a great take. Again, I look forward to your hot takes all the time, brother. So thank you for that. Look, Starfield. Where do we start here, man? This is absolutely, again, this is what I live for. The lead up to a game like this, right? I didn't get this with Elden Ring because I'm not a Souls fan, right? But when you're a fan of something like I am with Bethesda titles, and specifically Todd Howard and his A-team and what they do, this lead up is what is so cool. And people out here complaining about no gameplay, that's all entitlement. That's entitlement that gamers now feel these days, that they're entitled to see things early. Then they get upset when they see them early, and later on it doesn't match what they saw. All these things, it's this big circus that goes round and round and round. I'm all for the devs showing us when they're ready. I really don't care. They can announce a game like they did with Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red 7 years ago. I got hyped for that game, waited up to it. Now, a lot of people hate that game. A lot of people are disappointed. A lot of people got on the bandwagon of hate for that game, but it wound up, it wasn't everything that I hoped it'd be. No, but I still love that game to death, and it still was great. And I'd never take the hype, the build up that happened during those 7 years away from myself. I still think it was a great time just thinking about that game constantly. The same thing's been going on with Starfield now for years. So these dev diaries, again, every time I say to myself, boy, you really can't get any more hyped. And I should know at this age that that's just not true, especially for me, right? So when I see this, again, when I go into these dev diaries and I see Todd and whoever he's got with him, the funny thing is at this point, what I'm looking at is I'm actually looking at their attitude, right? Because it's not, they gave us a ton in this dev diary, but it's more about how they appear. And I know this is scripted, and I know they're very structured in what they do. Nothing Bethesda does is by accident. So this show is planned out. They're going to give us what they're going to give us, and they know in advance. But at the same time, what you see in these videos is real. This is not acted. Mm-hmm. These people are not actors. These people are not just putting on a show because it's a dev diary. This is real. And this is a team with Todd and his A-team that many of them, most of the team has been together now for decades. They have created some of the greatest games of all time in gaming history. Non-debatable at this point. There are games, with their Fallout series and the Elder Scrolls series that are still talked about 20 years on. We just celebrated Skyrim's 10-year anniversary last year with a new release. These are games that come along so few and far between that they're already special. But they take it to another level because of how great they do come out. Now, you can talk about all the bugs, all that kind of stuff. Guess what? Even with all those bugs, these are generational games. Think about that. That's how good him and his team are. So sitting down like this and having these kind of conversations, I look towards what the body language is, what they're kind of saying without saying. And this video right here, Fuzzy hit on it, Psycho hit on it, but the confidence level in this team is unbelievable. This is confidence that comes from knowing that you're one of the best at what you do, and you just are now finishing off one of the great visions from 20 years ago that could not be done until this point because of tech. And you're getting ready to show this to the world, and you've nailed it. That's what this video did. The way Todd was leaning forward, that twinkle in his eye that he gets when he speaks and he listens to the others sitting there with him, the people that he trusts, that can't be replaced. And then he gets that little smirk on his face. And you know for a fact in the back of his head, he's thinking about all those Bethesda fans like myself sitting here and watching this.
Yeah.
And he knows for a fact that we are just salivating to see this game. And he's got it. It's right there. He could click a button and probably put it up on the screen right behind him, right? He knows it's in that kind of state right now that they could show it today if they really wanted to. But they don't. They're going to make us wait. They're going to build that hype up because this is what Bethesda does better than almost 99% of the gaming companies out there. And people forget this. This is part of the marketing right here. This is what they do, the build up. But man, to see them just sit there and calmly but quietly have this hype. I talked about this in a couple shows too. The difference that you see here with other devs, not all, there's some really experienced devs out there that you can see them talk about their game and you just know that they've made something special. But you know, the funny part is when you see newer dev teams get together and they're getting ready to release their new IP and they're all hyped up, they don't hold that back in their videos, right? You see them out here rah-rahing, which they should do. And I love that. I think it's fantastic. It's just it's in direct contrast with what you see with this group. That hype is controlled. That excitement is controlled because they've been here before. They know what they're doing, and they know that this game is going to hit like their others have hit before. Mm-hmm. And that is what's special about these dev diaries. Now, as far as what they talked about, guess what? They learned a little something from Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is still a great game. Fallout fans still loved it, but it didn't hit the same as Fallout 3 did. And the reason why that most people talk about is because they went away from the RPG aspects. They focused too much on more action and the base building. Some people really loved it, but a lot of people thought it was just a time waster, kind of a filler for the game instead of actually being meaningful. They took away from those two things, and you heard them talk about it in this video directly. They're going back to the Oblivion days, okay? Now, they made a statement that they didn't necessarily go back and look at the Oblivion mechanics, but some of those mechanics, like the dialogue features, are coming back into Starfield. That gets me hyped.
Yeah.
Right? That
me
gets
too.
me
I think
hyped.
that was a big thing for me. And it's funny because I'm not in like you. You're a fanatic. Like you're a real fan. Like I'm a casual Bethesda fan, you know? So even for me, seeing the energy between the 3 or 4 people, I believe it was 4 people that were sitting there, was amazing. They, like you said, the confidence, the synergy between the 4, like they could talk through each other, like they were reading each other's mind, just having a conversation, you know, in each other's head. And we were just watching it.
Their world building is down to a science. They've got it down to every nut and bolt. And that's trust between team members that's built a lot like you see, you know, with anything, whether it's sports, whether it's military, whatever the case may be. When you put a group of people together that learn, work, you know, share blood, sweat, and tears together through different situations, and this is game development, that trust builds and builds and builds. And again, that's why this experienced team is the way they are. Like you said, it's a synergy between them because they all know their roles. They're all comfortable in their roles. They know exactly how to build this game from ground up. And now they're almost at the finish line. And that's a big thing. And to hear them say that we brought back some of the older mechanics, you know, Todd called it hardcore RPG. Okay. Again, we could debate whether or not Elder Scrolls is really a hardcore RPG, even the older ones. That's debatable. It depends what your definition is. But I understood what he was saying. They're bringing back more of that skill-based system. The skills are going to be more important. The dialogue and being able to manipulate people through dialogue is going to be more important and have bigger impact on the world itself and your choices, right?
The small details
that make character development. Look, they're bringing back backgrounds again for your character. You're going to be able to choose your background. Now, again, some people say, well, that's pretty cosmetic. We saw that with Cyberpunk. It really didn't mean a lot. CJ Project Red said it was going to make this big difference, and it really doesn't. And only in certain dialogue situations do you get some different, you know, answers or responses because of who you are and your background. But at the same time, that's still a part that's been missing from creating that character. That's what RPG is, role playing. And to bring back small choices like that to flesh out your own role in this story, that's the stuff that I love about RPGs as well. Todd talked about a little bit about the base building and said, look, it's going to be, you can go do it. It's going to be, out there. You can go do it. It's going to have benefits, but at the same time, it's not going to be, again, it's just going to be an added thing that you can do. So again, it's not going to be that filler that a lot of people felt Fallout 4 was. So that to me says they've learned from what Fallout 4 kind of dropped a little bit, and they're going back to the way that they used to do things, except they're bringing it current date and expanding it out even further. This is the stuff that I love to hear, right?
Yeah.
And again, ending this conversation, this dev diary, Todd, and I'm not gonna take up too much of your time, but I do want to touch on some of the leaks a little bit here as well too. But I know we got to move on. But
no, it's all good.
The thing, no, I know. I could talk forever about this stuff, and I already have in a couple shows this week. So, but the way he ended this dev diary and the way they all kind of ended it was talking about those big questions. Because again, when they sit down to do a game, they start out with the music first to start developing the game, but they give the team some questions that they want to be answered with their games. Okay. And the one with Starfield, two with Starfield are, why are we here and what's out there, right? Two of the biggest philosophical questions in human history, right? That is incredible. How many teams, game development teams, take on that type of subject matter? And they ended this conversation by Todd saying, look, you're going to run through this game. You're going to, and again, I'm paraphrasing here, of course. You're going to go through this game. You're going to create your own stories. You're going to have these memories of all these things you do out in this universe that we are giving you. But when it's done, when the game's over, I want people to sit back and really think about whether or not we answered those two questions, or at least gave somebody out there, along with all their memories of the game, something to ponder on those questions, right? And to me, you can't get any more confident than tackle something like that and making that a statement for your game, right? That is like, okay, really? You're really setting the bar high, right? We have had plenty of games that have had emotional impact on players. We definitely have seen that. But taking two of the biggest philosophical questions in human history and saying, we want our game, if not to give you some kind of answer towards that, but to make you at least think about that and consider your place in the universe, bro, that's you can't get any bigger. You can't set your goals higher than that in reality for a game. And that to me is absolutely incredible. And goes back to Todd talking about earlier in the video that movies, TV shows, books, they feed you the content that the creator wants to give you, right? They feed that to you. There is no interaction. It's straight up just given to you. And that's what you do. You consume. But with a game, and with Bethesda's games, you're creating your own world, your own stories within the structure that they present to you. And it's up to you to come out of it with whatever you choose to. It's not up to the creators per se. Yes, they have a main storyline. Yes, they have certain things that they will have you do and you will see and that you will interact with. But at the end of the day, with Bethesda titles, you can just go out and wander the world and do your own thing and make your own stories that aren't transcribed to you by Bethesda. If I want to live out my space pirate fantasy in this game, I could spend hundreds of hours becoming a space pirate in this game. That's what I could do if I want to do that. If I want to go base build for a couple hundred hours and make the greatest colony that the Starfield has ever seen, I can go do that in this game. That's what makes Bethesda titles incredible. That exploration, that discovery, and creating your own stories and memories that are going to be different from everybody else that plays this game. You and I Fuzzy, Psychonauts could all sit down, start Starfield at the exact same time, end it at the exact same time, get together, talk about what we did, and we would have 4 completely different stories come out of
good
that.
point. That's a good point.
That's awesome. That is special. That is something that not every dev accomplishes. Not every dev wants to accomplish that. But when it comes to open world RPGs, that is something, again, that's what's created this Elden Ring phenomenon. Part of it, again, it's not the same. It's a different style of open RPG, but exploration and discovery is what everybody talks about in Elden Ring. And the kings, the ones who really have nailed it time and time again, is Bethesda. That's why, for me, they're the number one RPG makers in the world and will be until they prove me wrong. So, again, that's special. Look, leaks. The leaks. Hey, look, I dove into these on PM and the PM. I stayed away from the story leaks. Again, all this grain of salt. This is coming from Reddit. These are coming from all places. But there has been stuff previously on other games that have come out that's turned out to be true. And it's just kind of fun to touch on them lightly. And I stay away from the story stuff because if it winds up being true, look, the leaks are out there. You can go find them yourself if you really want to. I've read them through and through multiple times. So they do give away the story in those leaks. So do be careful if you go hunting them if you don't want to know. So I'm not going to talk about that stuff, but let's just talk about the possibilities. Obviously, Psycho touched on it. The planets having land masses the size of Skyrim each in that game, whether it's 3, 4, or 12 planets, whatever it's going to be, if that comes to fruition. And I can go to a planet. It's not going to be Mass Effect. I can guarantee you that, right? Mass Effect 1 had a ton of different planets. You show up, it was empty, right? It was a rock. Yeah. That's not going to happen in these games, right? No. These are going to be handcrafted worlds like Psycho was talking about with individual environments, individual peoples, animals. All of that is going to be handcrafted by Bethesda. It's not going to be procedural generated. It is going to be put there for a reason. If this comes to pass, even if let's say it's 3 planets and they have the same landmass as a Skyrim does, my God, look, you're talking about thousands of hours of exploration for somebody like me who wants to wander around and find everything that I can find. That is going to be insane, okay, if this comes true. And I don't doubt that they're pushing themselves in this direction because, again, why make a space game by one of the greatest open world RPG makers? Why would they make a space game and then make it more linear like Outer Worlds or make it more linear like Mass Effect? That's not what Bethesda does. Bethesda is all about exploration and discovery. So if this is true, I can't wait. Leaks also talked about moons, talked about space stations being available. They talked about with the pirate hideouts. You're going to have it just like you read in the books. They're going to have a main pirate hub, a world that you're going to be able to go to. You're going to be able to buy different classes of ships depending on what you want to do, whether you want to shuttle around, inventory. You want to do that. If you want to be a pirate, you can buy a gunboat and load up on weapons and go hunting. Insane. All of that stuff. Huge. You're going to be able to customize your weapons, customize your armor. The ships themselves are going to be customizable. You're going to be able to expand the ships, change the ships, and make them your own. They're talking about the ships and the crew that you hire to run the ship having RPG elements and skills attached to them as well. On top of it, they are talking about gravity. I think Psycho touched on this. You're going to be able to turn off the gravity in your ship and everything will float. Everything that's not latched down will float. Just think about Prey. Prey showed that off. So it makes sense if they put this in the game. How cool is that going to be? Little touches, the details that are going into this game is going to be unbelievable. The interactions with the factions, like Fuzzy was talking about, that is so cool. Factions are a big part of Bethesda titles as well. Being able to choose who you want to join with, maybe be able to backstab those people that you joined, all that kind of stuff. Look, me flat out, I'm already telling you it's a space pirate's life for me. So there's not going to be any undercover cop stuff. I'm hunting down the good guys. Okay. That's what I'm going to be doing in this game for sure. But all of that is just so dang cool. I cannot wait for this. As you all know, 11/11/22 is the only date on my calendar right now that matters to me. That includes birthdays, that includes anniversaries. It don't matter. This year is all about 11/11. I cannot wait for this game. We're going to see more and more of this stuff, obviously, as we come up on E3, when we expect to see this at some point, until it's about ready to explode like a volcano. And then Todd's going to walk out on stage, as he's done in the past, and he's going to have a 15 to 20-minute demo of this game where he's holding the controller in his hands. And then everybody who says, why are you all hyped? You haven't seen nothing. Y'all can shut up and go away. And all the ones that just added this week to Hogwarts is going to kill Starfield. Okay.
Oh, you're getting in your bag now. Wait a minute. This is turning real petty.
Oh, yeah. Yo, this again, when the clowns show up, the reason why they're clowns, they're full-time clowns because they never take the makeup off. They don't ever give themselves a chance to take the makeup off because they keep getting proved wrong. The stuff is garbage. You do nothing for this community at all. You detract from all this excitement. I hate hype killers more than anything else. And all the people I'm just simply asking a question of why you can be excited. No, you're being intellectually dishonest. Now go away because you're not doing anything for anybody. Let people be excited. I'm not telling you to be hyped. I'm not telling anybody else to be hyped and asking people, why aren't you hyped for Starfield? I'm not doing that because I understand not every game's for everybody. And I also understand that not everybody reacts the same way. But when it comes to a big, gigantic release like this from one of the world's best creators of the industry, of the content and entertainment that we love, just like any other content that we consume out there, whether it's movies, TV, sports, books, when somebody like this, Todd Howard and his A-team shows up with a brand new baby that's never been seen before, and we know it's in the oven, we're going to be a little excited, a little hyped, and there is nothing wrong with that because you do it for your favorite people too. Whether it's musicians, anybody coming out with that new album, you're hyped. Movie director, actor coming out with that brand new movie, you're hyped. Same applies here, even if you haven't seen it or heard it yet. That's what is happening with Starfield. And guess what? We're going to continue this hype train rolling on through. And when they do show that footage, and it is already looking like Game of the Year potential and generational type Bethesda title, guess what? The hype's going to even go higher. And guess what? I'm going to be retweeting and posting screenshots until you're sick of it. That's what I think. Can't wait.
He's gonna lock and load. I'm telling you, we may not even see. He may take a long break, Fuzz. We may not even have Pong on the podcast for a few weeks. I mean, he may be in that. Yeah, he may be locked away in a bunker for sure. You know, but either way, man. Once again, you know, we're talking a little Starfield here. It's amazing. I think that. So can I want to kind of slide in here because once again, I got a little bit of a different perspective. Obviously, I'm not quite as fond of Bethesda as Pong is, but I do enjoy their games. I do respect the level of talent and the effort that they put into their games. They've made generational games multiple times, you know, generational games. So, you know, that doesn't happen on accident. The formula works, it's there, and they're going to expand on that formula to a degree that I don't think we're even ready for at this point in time. I think the big thing for me, and this is something that Fuzz pointed out, was the energy, the confidence. And that speaks more to me than even what they were talking about the game. I know the game's going to be amazing. Like, this is Todd's baby. He's been thinking about this thing for 20 plus years. He's been trying to get this off. Like, I need to get this off. And I got to wait for the right time. And the time is now. And it's crazy to think that, like, all the effort, all the energy, you know, all of that's been put into this, the change over to Xbox and switching over to now being first party with Xbox and being under Microsoft umbrella, the injection of energy that provided to probably finishing and getting Starfield done, and, you know, the flexibility and be able to say, you know what, we can wait another year. We want to get this right. Man, that confidence is oozing. That's oozing, man. They were just up there just relaxed. Looked like they all just got a massage right before they started talking. Like, they looked super relaxed. So I'm excited. Pong, I know you, like you said, you're locked down for that week. Nobody better call or bother you probably that entire week.
You'll be seeing screenshots, and that's it.
That's it. That's it. No,
that's the
I don't have time for no shows. I'm not gonna be on nobody podcast. I don't have time for that
because I'll be out here praising it. I can't wait to talk about it.
That's true.
But no, PTK, just to wrap this up real quick too. It's funny though. People like yourself Steel this morning, and I had a conversation about this. Steel is not a Bethesda fan. His wife is, but he's not, and he hasn't really played their games like us fans have. He's touched on. He watched his wife play like New Vegas and all that kind of stuff, but never really got into him at all. But what's funny is people like yourselves, even who watch this dev diary, picked up on the same energy that us fans. That means that is not a biased, that's not a biased look at what we saw on there, because sometimes that will happen. Of course, if you're really hoping for something, you will see what you want to see. But for people that aren't even the biggest fans to watch that dev diary and notice the same damn thing out of that crew, the confidence oozing through the screen, that means something. That means that it is real, it is there, and that is what's going to make this game over the top. I cannot wait.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Obviously we're going to be talking a little bit about Elden Ring. Obviously it's the biggest thing in gaming right now. I mean, there's really no way around it, right? It's the elephant in the room. It always comes up in any conversation. People are talking about Starfield because of Elden Ring. It's coming up more. Obviously Starfield is going to be a huge game. We just talked about that, but it's coming up more. It's just, and the fact that From Software just came out and announced it. They sold 12 million copies in 3 weeks, people. Like, I don't know if I need to put that into perspective. You know what type of games do that?
Yep. Call of Duties, Grand Theft Autos.
Grand Theft Auto. Ever heard of that? Anybody ever heard of those games?
What's Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Some little indie. Probably, I think 3 guys made that game. I'm not sure, but anyway, this is like this glow up is what I call it. So Bloodborne was a great game. It got great scores. Damn near won a game of the year, almost. So it damn near won game of the year. I don't think it was nominated, but I think it got a lot of consideration. But to go from that to this, what's the last game to make that big of a jump that you guys can recall? I'm thinking the jump from like Grand Theft Auto 3 to 4, or like Grand Theft Auto or 2 to 3. 2 to 3, maybe, or from 3 was it 3 to 4? No, 2 to 3 was big because it was open. 2 to 3 was open world, right? You could run around. It wasn't top down.
Yeah,
I think 2 to 3. Yeah. I would say probably. So like this doesn't happen. People, 12 million in 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Like this is, we're gonna start with you on this one, Psycho. Once again, chat, let us know you guys been playing, what you guys been enjoying about the game. But this is absolutely like you can no longer deny it. It is not a niche game anymore. It's broke through the fourth wall. It's whatever barrier that it had before is no longer there. It's now a household name. Like it's now a like. It's going to be a normal thing now from software. So we have to all understand, and I think it's okay that we come to that conclusion. I get it. There's a lot of gatekeepers. We understand that there's a lot of, Souls gatekeepers that, don't want to let nobody in. They're not necessarily okay with the new people enjoying the game. I get all of that, but it is what it is. A great game is a great game. I think that's ultimately what we all care about. But we're going to start with you, Psycho, on this. What do you think, man? Elden Ring, 12 million sold. I think 1 million in Japan, 11 million everywhere else in 3 weeks.
No, that's a big feat for any game. The only thing that came somewhat close so far, you look at Horizon 5 but I think that was only 5 million within the first I think 2 weeks, but that's about it. Nothing on this scale. I think the open world of Elden Ring really drove it home to more gamers than other Soul-like games. I think that's what people were drawn to it. Just the vast openness of the of an open world with the Souls element to it, and it just hit home because I've been playing it and it's brutal, and I'm like, holy crap. You know, I see a lot of people like, oh, you can't use guides, you can't do this, you can't use summons, you can't use. I'm like, yo, listen, I don't give if they put it in the fucking game, I'm gonna use it. I don't care. I'm gonna use summons. I'm a freaking mage, you know, so I don't care. If they put it in the game, I'm using it. Because some of these guys, these bosses, holy hell, it is insane. But hitting 12 million in 3 weeks, yeah, that's. I don't think there's a game that has hit that in a
Animal Crossing.
That I don't. I mean, maybe that, but I mean, seriously, like it's one of those games that the hype I think drove it, and really to these numbers because people liked it, and like I said, the open world aspect of a Souls game really what people liked about this game, and I think that's what drove it to where these numbers are, because I think they were expecting maybe 1 million. I think that's what they were thinking in over a month, I think it was that I was reading. They were expecting 1 million only, not 12. They killed it. They're just sitting there like, holy shit. And now you got other developers that give you the cookie cutter type open world games, and they're sitting like, how did this game really get all these gamers hyped? Like, it's not what it's not an Ubisoft game. It's it's not your typical open world game, and it's just like they're looking at it like, holy crap.
Yeah,
they
were able to tap in. They were able to tap into something. Like they hit that they hit some vein. They hit like a perfect balance between that Souls and the challenge and the open world, and like it's just rare that like everything comes together the way it did with that game. And it's funny because traditionally this genre, the Souls genre, are very like narrow. Like this is not something that this is like you got to take like this, you got to ease your way into this. This is not a genre you pick up and play kind of thing. Like most people are like, okay, I'm gonna commit to playing this kind of game. I'm gonna commit to getting good at this. It's commitment. It's not something that you ease into like I'll pick up and play this once every Thursday kind of thing, So the fact that they can balance that with it being approachable for so many more people and still have the balance is, I think, the most important thing, that the biggest thing that they were able to nail, I think.
Oh yeah. So here's a great thing. Like my brother, he's not he has never played a Souls game ever in his life. So, and because we game share, that's how I have it. And we were talking about, it's like, I wanted to try Elden Ring and so on and so forth. And he's like, yeah, I was looking at that, but he's like, I'm not a Souls guy. I'm not into those games. I don't want to sit there and die and repeat. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I was like, this just has a different feeling. It's open world. It's not linear, so on and so forth. And he has not been able to put it down. And he's a professor for the Virginia University, and he almost missed a couple classes because he's been playing this game. That's the impact that that Elden Ring has had on people that are not typical Soul-like gamers.
Awesome. And I know Fuzz, you're gonna get into this too, but we're gonna throw this over to you, Pong. Get your opinion on this. This is something you've been like, Pong. You once again, this is I give Pong credit from day one. Pong, feather in the cap, said this was gonna be special. Yeah. He said it from day one. This was gonna be a special game, and lo and behold, that's what it was. And I think might have even exceeded your expectations, Pong, from what you thought.
Yeah. It exceeded everybody's expectations, and like I said, I wasn't hyped for it. I just said, when they announced open world, that's when it changed for me, because again, I had sworn off Souls games. This is number 5 for me that I've tried. But when they said open world and they started showing it, I knew it had the potential. Like, Souls games have been niche, right? We can't say that any longer, but they've been niche. And it was a growing fan base. It wasn't like it was, continuously being small, more and more people were enjoying Souls games as people tried them, but it still had not hit the mainstream. But I thought when they introduced the open world and they introduced the new mechanics, gave you a horse, the ability to jump, all that kind of stuff. Okay, now I'm looking at this going, okay, From is now evolving their games and they are looking to appeal to more people. So I knew this one had potential to hit those masses a little bit more. To this degree, no, of course not. Nobody saw this other than Souls fans as a generational type game, right? Nobody knew. That's when the review scores kept hanging around at 97, 96.
97, yeah. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
it's gotta be an outlier. Yeah, what is going on?
Exactly. And that was when we kind of all started talking about this, because then you saw it. Steele and I talked about this morning. You saw the ripple effect as a phenomenon does happen. We got to see it real time with a game.
Yeah.
With Elden Ring. It started out with the reviews. Everybody talking about the reviews. Oh my God, what is going on? This game is scoring, From Software games have always scored high, but a 97, like that's with the Zeldas, the Breath of the Wilds that people love. That's like insane. Are you kidding me? What is it about this game that makes it so great? And then people started getting their hands on it, right? And then that talk turned to screenshots. That talk turned to videos of what they were playing and what they were seeing. And people were going, my God, wow, this is absolutely crazy. What I'm seeing here, this is nuts. Yes, it's still Souls games. It's very hard, but my God, exploring this world is second to none. And you saw that spread, right? And then you saw more of us in this community, the gamers, jump in, right? And of course, I was day one because I said, I had made that decision to do so. But more and more gamers started jumping in. But then you started seeing it reach that critical level because the articles kept getting written. And I went through those stats on this show last week or the week before, whatever it was, where I talked about that, it doubled the most articles written by any other game in its first launch week. Elden Ring doubled that number, doubled it. Those articles kept going out. More and more people started hearing about this game, and it reached that critical mass state. And now it is everywhere. Now it's a household name. When you say Elden Ring, if anybody is any type of console gamer whatsoever or PC gamer, most people will say, oh yeah, I know about that. Even if they haven't played it, they've got friends who have played it, right? And they've heard about it. So Elden Ring is now a household name. This is a phenomenon. Again, shout out to From Software for doing what they did. Now, the interesting... Shout out to
George, too. We got to give George some credit. Listen, we give him shit for the HBO Game of Thrones stuff. I get it. But this shit right here, right? Elden Ring stuff that he had his hand in, like, come on, we gotta absolve him of those sins. Essentially, like it's too good to like hang on to that kind of stuff, right?
Right, exactly. What I was gonna say is the interesting byproduct from this, though, is that as more of the hardcore Souls have played it, I'm just going by people that I know or people that I read and listen to. Steele being a big Souls fan. Shout out to Ash and Luca being a huge Souls fan. Aircuts for the win. She's being a big giant Souls fan. The more of the hardcore that play Elden Ring and that now beat it, when they sit back and start thinking about where they place Elden Ring, it's not at the top for them. Because there is something that From Software did with this open world that kind of changed what made Souls that really highly thought of kind of niche genre. They took away that build up. The most popular one I've seen, or the most consistent opinion I've seen, is that because it's an open world, because you can go anywhere, because you can defeat the bosses in any order you want to, because you can skip bosses, you can do whatever you want to, that build up of tension in between bosses as you run through tighter dungeons, corridors, and that kind of stuff, knowing that you're going to get to a boss is gone. And the bosses for that, because of that, are not as memorable as the bosses from other Souls games.
I've heard that. I think you said, I think I saw Luca make that point that none of them, boss fights for her were far more memorable in other Souls games as well as Bloodborne because of that. Great point.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing that I've noticed just from an outside observer. Obviously, not as a hardcore Souls fan because I'm not, but just an outside observer. That is something that does happen, and I think why we've seen a lot of gatekeeping from the Souls community is because they know, and we've seen this. It doesn't matter. Again, I'm old enough now to see a lot of things that I love change and die off because they got away from what they originally were. And I'm not saying that's happening here by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, From Software just did themselves a gigantic favor by inviting more people to enjoy their games. They are going to be able to make more games. They're going to be able to make bigger games, bigger budgets than ever before because of the success of Elden Ring. And that's what every dev truly is striving for, to have their creation liked and appreciated by as many people as possible. And shout out to Miyazaki.
And this doesn't happen as often as people think it does. Like people really think that this happens super often. I think it will happen more often now than it has before.
Yes. So the potential and opportunities there.
Exactly. I think even the last 5 to 7 years, I think it's been picking up the pace when you think about the games that have come out over the last 5 to 7. So,
but and the more gamers that are around, which we know obviously over the past 5 to 7 years has grown exponentially, the amount of people gaming, the more potential there is for that type of phenomenon to happen. Yes. So, but I just think that, again, shout out to From, like I said, they're not killing off their games, but it is interesting to see. I think that's where a lot of the angst from the Souls community comes from, because everybody kind of knows in the back of their mind that, hey, yeah, I really like that things are more popular because we do get more of it. More people that like what I like, the better chance I'm going to get more of it because the company's going to make more money. But at the end of the day, also that comes along with that is that thing that you truly loved, the core of that thing, can get a little change. It can change a little bit, and it's not quite the same as what you fell in love with because it's trying to appeal to more people. And I think that's what's happened with Elden Ring and the Souls community. But again, not too many games also come along and unite a community like Elden Ring in the way that it did. At the end of the day, even with the gatekeeper saying you're not supposed to play this way, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that, it didn't matter. At the end of the day, everybody was in agreement that this is a fantastic game and an experience that if you are a gamer and you have any inkling of trying, you should jump in just for the experience. Even if ultimately you don't wind up beating this game, or you ultimately wind up putting it down saying, nope, still not a Souls fan, that the experience that you get from just traveling through the world and exploring and discovering things will be worth the price of entry. And I think that's a great thing that happened here.
And we're going to get to Fuzz here because I definitely want to hear your point on this, Fuzz, but I do want to pose a question to you real quick, Fuzz, to kind of before you jump in here. Does this change? Because, GTA hasn't come out yet. The next GTA. Elder Scrolls hasn't come out yet. Starfield hasn't come out yet. Does this change the expectation of open world games? If it's once again, this doesn't happen very often. What this game just did doesn't happen very often. From the sales to once again, universally, everybody's like, this is just a good game. Like that, the agreements between the community, that happens even less often.
Yeah.
So does this change the bar? Is this a bar raising kind of situation? But before you get into your point specifically about Elden Ring.
Yeah, in some cases, yes. In some cases, no. And I'll give more of an example for like GTA 6 or GTA Online 2 or whatever they're going to call it. I don't think it will, because it's a totally different type of open world sandbox type of deal. But for like your next Assassin's Creed, oh yeah, it definitely creates a new bar for comparison. Now, it's up to Ubisoft to kind of either drop the ball or pick it up and run with it in a better way. But I think people see what they see in Elden Ring as far as the open world, and then look over at like an Assassin's Creed where everything is, noted. Oh, you're supposed to go here, and there's all these collectibles you can collect, and everything is clearly marked on the map. And people have said in the past, even before Elden Ring came out, that they're kind of tired of that same type of formula, change it up a bit. And we saw some of that when, what was it? Ghost of Tsushima came out, where they had different ways of marking your direction on the map, like the wind blowing instead of having like a marker float over your head, or trails on the ground or something like that type of deal. So I think there is some things for these other open world games to kind of learn from and integrate into their games. But then there are some things that they should continue to do as far as like the simple quality of life stuff. So without getting into too much of the nitpicky stuff, like the maps and controls or something, I think it does set a bar for like your Assassin's Creed style open world. But like a GTA or even like a Just Cause or something like that, I don't think it'll affect those in any way, as far as a comparison. But man, I can admit when I'm wrong. Behind the scenes, me and PTK and Pong and chatted back and forth about how I just thought this was going to not really be like a one hit wonder, but one of those things that after a month or two, nobody will be talking about it. It'll be like kind of like the way Sekiro was, even though Sekiro did win Game of the Year. It had its launch, its release. People were talking about it for like a hot 2 weeks. Then it went silent. Then it was up for discussion again when it came up for Game of the Year announcement. And then it kind of went back into the ether again. And I kind of figured that this was going to be the same deal, just because I didn't think the masses were ready for a I don't know, like a soul style game. And even though this being based on a soul style game, it's not like a true Souls, because you can, not really skip around, but avoid certain conflicts until you're at a higher level to be able to accomplish those. But yeah, I kind of figured that this would be the new hotness for a month or two, and then people would kind of forget about it. And then a few games like what is it, the Requiem, the Plague's Tale, the next one would come out and people would kind of talk about that more, or something like Atomic Heart, people would talk about that more. And then by the time Starfield came out, I figured nobody's going to be even like, other than the diehard Souls fans or Elden Ring fans themselves, I figured nobody would be talking about it come November. And I was totally wrong on that one. But selling 12 million copies, you guys are right. This doesn't happen often. I didn't see this happening. Like I said, I didn't think this was going to be for the masses. Like, yes, I purchased it, and I got the experience I expected to get out of it. So it's definitely not a game for me, at least at this point. Like, I do have patience, but I don't have patience for this style of game just yet. One of my other games has kind of pissed me off, so there might be an opportunity to have at it again. But yeah, this thing doing 12 million in such a short period of time, it's going to have a ripple effect in the industry, in the sense that we all know EA and Ubisoft and a lot of these bigger publishers look at what the next million, 10 million copy selling game is like, and they try to integrate as much as they can. I mean, look at Battle Royale with Fortnite, and how many Battle Royales have constantly been pushed into market, some for the better, some for the worse. But it's still an ongoing thing where even people want to see a Battle Royale in Halo. So I don't know if we're going to see quite the amount of push for more of a darker open world, not really punishing, but can be punishing if you don't, try a few things, type of deal in more upcoming games. But I have to give it to Elden Ring again, because me just watching on the sideline, I'm seeing now, like, for the little bit that I played, and how I was getting annoyed about all these messages about, oh, there's a hidden passage beyond this door or beyond this wall, and now people are actually breaking the walls.
I saw that.
It's like, yeah, that's kind of a mind hump to some extent, as far as, okay, I didn't believe all this before. I just kept on going about my business, and now it's like, maybe I should just go back to that whole first area and start chopping at the walls and see what it's about. So having that level of discovery, I think more games need that. Like, I think, and I've heard a few people talk about this for games like an Assassin's Creed, like, leave some of that element of discovery out there, where it's not a marker on your map. it's not clearly pointed that the direction of the story takes you to, like, this NPC in this area, or this hidden pathway is just beyond this side of the wall type of thing. I think more games need that element of discovery, and something more than just Easter eggs type of deal. Because some games still do have that level of discovery. Like, perfect example, Horizon Forbidden West, they have like little totems of, characters from other games, in particular God of War. I'm not going to spoil much more than that, but yeah, to have things like that, but maybe not just be an Easter egg, would be kind of cool. And I would like to see some games pick that up for future. But man, totally unexpected. I was totally wrong on the legs on this game, and I don't think it's even close to slowing down. Like, I honestly think people will continue to talk about this until, sometime next year, where the next biggest competitor has kind of copied or mimicked some of the aspects of this game into their open world, sandbox, or open world, adventure game and stuff. But that's all I got.
No, for sure. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I think this is a great experience for everyone. And I think the biggest thing for me is that the game's ability to like compensate different people, right? Like Pong, I think that's the biggest thing for me, Pong. And like coming in, being a new player, this not necessarily being something that I play very much or often. I'm not very good at it, but it's still approachable. You know what I'm saying? And like that's hard to do, Pong. Like that's really fucking hard to do. Like it's really hard to please that many people. People do not understand. It's very hard to please that many people. And this game was able to achieve that in a very, very, very short amount of time, considering like its origins, considering it was a Souls game, which was very niche. I don't give a damn how many copies Souls sold. It was a niche game, in my opinion. Elden Ring is not that.
No, and we can't forget this is From Software's first open world game. Yeah. On top of
first
that,
swing,
right?
First swing, home run.
Again, I know people have this mindset. Oh, open world's got to be easy to do. Like you can just put things everywhere. No. Open world just means you got a lot more areas that you have to craft. That's why we see so many open world games out there where people go, God, it's so empty. There's nothing going on here. That's not Elden Ring. Elden Ring is up there with the Skyrims as far as going around a corner and coming across something new again. There's always something to see or do no matter where you're traveling in that open world, and the open world is huge. We're not talking about a small open world. We're talking about something on the scale of a Skyrim when you consider all the underground worlds that they have in this game as well, which they themselves are gigantic. So for them to nail this out of the park, first attempt at a true open world type Souls game, again, hats off to From Software, hats off to Miyazaki for doing this and making this decision to go this route, because this was something that was a challenge for them, and this is something that was outside of their box. They became masters at what they were doing, and they decided, hey, we're no longer just going to be comfortable where we're at, and we know we can just pump out Bloodborns, we can pump out Sekiros, we can pump out Dark Souls, and everybody will buy them up. We're going to challenge ourselves and try to reach more people, and we're going to doubly challenge ourselves by saying we're going to take our old formula and make it open world and really go for the gusto, and it paid off in spades. That's why you see these sales numbers.
So I want to say something. So shout out to Abba Cab in the chat. I see your point. But once again, I don't speak for the entire, fan base. So that I get what you're trying to say, but I'm not on here speaking for everybody that owns an Xbox. So I'm speaking about we can only talk about our personal experiences. It may not have done the numbers specifically on Xbox that it should have, whatever the case may be. But these are our personal experiences with Elden Ring. We don't speak for the entire Xbox community. So I just want to make sure you understand that. I get where you're trying to go with the whole, it didn't sell that well on Xbox.
And Abacab too, man, we've talked about this before. Look, you have to cultivate a fan base. It doesn't happen overnight. I'd like to know where you got your stats from, because I don't believe that it's sold that low on Xbox. Do I believe that Xbox is probably the lowest selling out of all the platforms? Absolutely. Of course I do. I know why, because From Software doesn't put all their games on Xbox. but you have to cultivate that. That's what we've been talking about with JRPGs and games from the East. If these companies want Xbox to become a place where their games do well, they have to cultivate that fan base by putting their titles out there. And right now, it still sits, I believe, at like number 4 as most played games on Xbox. So I got to believe that it is doing good numbers. If From Software already had low expectations of Xbox, I can guarantee you that overall, with 12 million sold, that they're still above what they expected by putting it onto Xbox in the first place, which is still a win at the end of the day. That's why Phil and his team got to keep pushing these Eastern companies to put their games here so that eventually people don't just associate with that style of game only on PlayStation or only on PC, but also, hey, by the way, I own an Xbox. I can find those games over here as well. That's the important part about continuously trying to get that breakthrough on Xbox for those Eastern games.
Yeah. And now what I was saying in the chat was pretty much that, the whole Game Pass effect, people, right now we're like, oh, let's wait a little bit because as we saw, Guardian of the Galaxies went to Game Pass. So people are going to wait a little bit, make sure that it doesn't go into Game Pass before they buy it. You know what I'm saying? So that's also plays a little bit why if sales numbers are low on Xbox. So, once some time has gone by and that it's not in Game Pass, the gamers will probably buy it and play it, and then then we'll see the real numbers. I mean, that's just what it is, because when you ask if it's going in gamers ask, is it going in Game Pass? So that's the one little effect that Game Pass has on games right now with Xbox, but that's just it's what it is. I mean, it's just what it is right now. It's just
Well, no, once again, like I completely understand that. Like I get the effect that Game Pass may have on people's apprehension to purchase a game, but I think ultimately the point that I'm making, the point that the big deal here, and this is the real win, is that it's everybody's enjoying the game that actually plays it. Like like 12 million people is a lot of fucking people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot of people, Like even if it did 1 mil on Xbox, that's a lot of people. There's a lot of first party stuff that doesn't do 1 million out the gate. For a third party game to do 1 million out the gate on your system is amazing, and that's not Madden or GTA or something like that, right? So something to be established. So for this to be their first swing at this, their first crack at this, they knocked this bitch out the park. Like this is more than you could even close to expect. So I think that's the point me and Pong were making. And these are obviously our own individual. We don't speak for the entire fan base. I know, and I'm not speaking to Chew Cycle. I know you get that. That wasn't your point or anything like that. I'm just saying that, like, ultimately what I was talking about with Abacab was that, like, these are just our individual opinions on the game that we purchased. We spent our $60, however much you spent, whatever edition you bought on the game. So, but either way, we're going to throw this over to you, Fuzz, and just get your, where you at on this, and, just kind of, break this all down.
Oh, but as far as like what Elden Ring being on Xbox itself, or
not necessarily in general, just with it being on Xbox, but just your take on I think what the biggest win for this game actually is. Like I think there's a lot of like wins. Like, From Software did a lot of things right. Like they nailed a lot of things. I think the biggest thing was, like I said, just the ability to balance the difficulty, still feel kind of soulsy, but not dilute what the idea is, right? They didn't dilute
to make
their
it more
brand.
approachable for the masses. I think that's probably the biggest thing. So like if you look at games where there's always that discussion on an easy mode or reviewers mode, if you want to call it that. A lot of people have had back and forth conversations on that, and this one doesn't have an easy mode by any means, but it is a lot more approachable than your traditional Souls game. And I think that's probably the biggest win overall, is just making a game without, just completely decimating your original vision of how difficult games can be or should be. You do make it a bit more approachable than your traditional lineup of games. And I think us gamers as a whole win at that point without it being, feeling cheapened by, oh, I put the easy mode on, like with Wolfenstein, you got the binky and the baby bib type of deal or anything like that. So I would like to see more devs, at least if they're not going to do a quote unquote easy mode, do make it so the game's mechanics or the playability allows for alternate paths to, get to the same goal or same ending in general. That I think is probably the biggest one overall.
Okay. All right. Well, great breakdown once again. So, just to wrap the entire show up, we're going to just take some questions here. We got a little bit extra time. We finished up our specific topics. I know some other things happened this week too that I think the panel would like to get into here. Well, I mean, obviously, we know you've been simmering over there, Fuzz. Fuzz went over there simmering, Pong. I don't know how. Cooking underneath there. It's probably steam coming out his ears right now.
Look, like I said, Steele and I had a rant this morning for almost 45 minutes on it, and we don't even play the game. We don't have a PS5, but we still ranted about it because it's so obvious. So I can only imagine somebody who put down their hard-earned money like Fuzzy and has such a passion for racing
I think
games.
it's gotten even worse as of recent. Once they went back online, I just basically wanted to make sure all my money was still there and all the cars were still there. Like they didn't wipe anything. Like I didn't do any of what they would call, I guess, exploits. I did like a couple of races that paid or were the better paying races that didn't get penalized, I guess, because I did a lot of the dirt truck racing and stuff instead of the dirt cars or like the rally car type of deals. But they just added the 1994 McLaren F1.
Yeah,
and that car costs in game $18.5 million. So, considering they reduced a lot of the payouts for races, you have to do well over 20 hours of grinding perfectly to optimally get to that amount of money. So, in other words, you can't touch another car. You can't have all four tires off the track at any given time, which for most stuff is easy to do. But if you're under the pressure to do that same 5-lap race for 20 hours straight, after a while, you're going to start getting impatient with some of these cars because the AI sometimes can be competitive. Sometimes it can be annoying where they're racing 3 wide on a narrow track and you can't get around them without going off track or bumping somebody. But do that for 20 hours, or you could spend $180 in microtransactions to buy that car. At this point, this game is just it's becoming its own meme. I don't even really care anymore. Like I originally was going to just uninstall it, but that was before I saw this, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to uninstall. I'll just finish doing my paint schemes on some cars, some tunes on cars, and I'm not going to worry about buying another car. And then, oh yeah, let's put this new legendary car at 18.5 million. Which, okay, I'm fine with the car being 18.5 million. That it's unrealistic because that's not what it would go for in real life. You had celebrities sell their car, and I think the most it got was 6 mil. But hey, that's real life. They said they were going to base the economy off of that. Who knew? But aside from that, if it was 18.5 mil in game, that's great. Where's the $1 million payout for a championship? Or where's the 100,000, 10-lap race or 20-lap race or something that at least makes it achievable or reasonably achievable? Because me being retired, I can, swing the 20 hours in about a week or less, maybe a couple of days, just no life it on this game. My wife might look at me a little sideways, but hey, I could swing that. But for somebody that's, still working a 9 to 5, yeah, good luck. See you next month when you can afford that car. Oh, by the way, they only keep them in there for about a week, so you missed it. So that's all I got. I've ranted enough about this game. They're just making their matters worse, and it's like I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think it's like Sony's killing their game. But we'll see. We'll see what the fanboys over at the PlayStation camp, say, if they even say anything about it.
They're not fuzzy. And when you got Polyphony coming out and saying, hey, we want you to take a long-term view of this game. Look, call it what it is, Fuzzy. Call it what it is. This is their first games as a service. This is one of those 10 that Jim Ryan was talking about. They just didn't want to come out and tell everybody that they were turning Gran Turismo into a games as a service. But that's exactly what they're saying to your face, not you, Fuzzy, but to the community's face, the fans' face, is, hey, we got a long-term plan. I'm really sorry I can't talk about the details right now, but we want to go ahead and make a game that more people play. We're going to expand it. We've got plans for tracks and cars and different competition. That's all great. What you are saying, this is the games as a service, which is fine. I have zero problem with games as a service. However, there are some rules involved in 2022 that have been established over the past 5 to 10 years of other games as a service that you kind of have to follow. If you're going to charge $70 for your games as a service game, your microtransactions have to be less than the normal microtransaction. Again, that's a business decision. Your choice. I'm just telling you from a fan's point of view of what we come to expect. If you're going to be down, your servers are going to be down, you better be on social media communicating with your fans exactly what's happening. You don't just come out and say, we've got a problem, and then go dark for nearly 30 hours. You give your fans an expectation of how long the servers are going to be going down. And if you miss that and you realize, hey, we're not going to be able to get this fixed in time, you're back on social media explaining what's happening and why there's going to be an extended outage. And then when you do come back online in 2022, all your fans that have paid all this upfront money and may have already spent money internally on your game, you come out, you apologize. You also give them something for that missed experience. You give them credits, you give them a free car, whatever the case may be, you make it up to your fan base. You don't come out and apologize and then tell them to take the long view of this game and just be patient with us as we do this. No. That's not 2022. Again, Sony is not used to this. Sony is not experienced in this type of game. They are testing the waters. They are using Gran Turismo as an experiment to see how far they can push the limits on certain things. But we have all this past 5-10 years of games as a service already being out in the wild and popular that have set up some basic guidelines for that style of game. And Sony and Polyphony are going against all of them. First of all, number one, Sony purposefully hid that from the reviewers. They purposely hid those microtransactions, knowing that it would affect the score, knowing that it would be talked about, the perception would have been created. Sony did that deliberately, and that is shady AF, okay? Period, point blank. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the biggest.
I heard about that. And I was shaky, man. That's shaky.
We got reviewers coming out and redoing videos talking about this, saying, had they known this is how things were going to go, their review would have mentioned it, would have been different. You made the reviewers look bad. On top of it, the people who give your initial game its credibility by giving it a high score, you put their credibility on the line by hiding this stuff from that, from that group of people. That is wrong. And then for Polyphony, again, one of the other guiding things, one of the guidelines that have been created by all these other games as a service out here in 2022 is you, as a games as a service provider, have to grow your game by listening to the fan base. If you ignore your fan base, that is going against everything that a games as a service is. We have example after example: Apex Legends, Fortnite, Grounded. We've got Sea of Thieves. All grew because they listened to their fan base. You don't come out after your fan base, a portion of your fan base, not everybody, because of course the Sony clowns will cap for anything on that side. But a portion of your fan base already told you your microtransactions are out of line. You don't come out and double down and make it even harder to obtain money when your fan base is telling you, hey, this is a little extreme. You come out and say, you know what? We've heard your feedback. We're going to make it easier to earn credits. We've done this, and this to make it a better experience for you. Again, we still want to have rarity in our cars. That's our main goal here. But we do understand that the grind can be a little much. So we're going to make it a little bit easier to obtain those vehicles. You don't have to change everything. You don't have to go to the Forza model and just give away cars. You don't have to. I'm not expecting that, but you should come out and listen to your fan base and change up a little bit. They've done none of that. They've gone the opposite way with it. Like you just explained, they will fail in this. They will still sell copies. It still will be praised because that's the way the fan base works. Again, Sony's fan base is a lot like Nintendo's fan base. It still will be out there. But again, at the end of the day, as far as growing your games as a service game, you're not going to do it. You're going to stunt that growth by pulling off this garbage. I hate everything about this. And I can't say any more on it because, again, I don't own the game, but it's up to the consumers to speak with their wallet when it comes to this types of nonsense that Sony is doing right now. It's disrespectful to everybody.
Definitely. Yeah. When the game doesn't respect your time, then it's not worth your time, period. It just really isn't.
No, facts. That's facts. Yeah.
When they doubled down on pretty much the going like, okay, we heard your complaints, but we're going to make it even more grindier. So sorry, but we need that the real
after you already paid $70.
Cash.
After you already paid $70. Come on.
Well, I've joked on Twitter with people. It's like, well, I guess we should be thankful that we don't have to carry in-game, car insurance at least.
Oh, that's coming. That's the next DLC.
The next DLC sponsored by Geico. No, but it's something that it's very interesting to see, considering the level of excitement surrounding this game. What people thought this game would have been and should have been. It's almost one of those, this wasn't what you guys said it actually was gonna be. This is something completely different. Like, and there's a lot of shaky shit around it though. Like, a lot of the stuff is suspect and screams like we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Like a lot of that stuff screams we don't know what we're doing. Like, we're just trying shit, and this is gonna determine like how this goes going forward. So we'll see what they're able to get away with. We'll see how this affects the game going forward. I know I had a couple questions. Let me back up here. Shout out to Bacon Life. He did have a question, and he said, do you think Starfield will end up being the only big first-party game to come out this year? I'm starting to think Redfall doesn't make 2022 due to lack of info. We got lots of Deathloop info year out. So anybody want to take that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to come out. I think that there's going to be more games than just that. I think Redfall does make it this year. Summer goes all the way up until about September. So I definitely think they'd make that window just because we haven't heard anything. Again, you got to understand, Arcane is a part of ZeniMax. That's a part of Bethesda. They do things differently over there. And I think they're taking, a little bit of what Todd and his team does, and they're going to show games when they are ready. They're going to start trying to do that more and more. So we might be seeing games later in development than we're used to, especially on that side. I'm not talking about all of first party, but on that side especially, I think that might be the way forward. And I think Redfall will be ready. They've been working on this for quite some time. Yes, the pandemic still is involved. Yes, they probably lost a year of development time, but it's been in development long enough that I think they're going to have it together and ready to rock and roll this year. Yeah. And I think Motorsport, whatever version of Motorsport we are getting this year, I think they are going to push that out for sure. I think it's time. Like I said this morning on Living Split Screen, I do have an inkling, and I know Fuzzy may disagree with this, but I do have an inkling that it may not, because Turn 10 is going to go full games as a service. And because of how much work they've done on the engine, because they helped out with Halo Infinite, because we know they've helped out with Fable a little bit as well, I think we may get less of a full package deal than we're used to with Forza, with the understanding that they're going to give us regular content drops, not Halo Infinite style, but on a more regular basis, right? And I think they're going to have a roadmap laid out. I just think the initial upfront that they give us this year might be a little bit less than a numbered Forza would have been had it been just its own kind of release. That's my only inkling, but I do think we get Motorsport and Redfall and Starfield this year as scheduled, and I think that's what the fall lineup and holiday lineup's going to look like for sure.
Okay,
I agree on the Forza. What you were saying as far as the next Forza, it'll be kind of like the way Motorsport 5 was when it released, because it was only like about 200 cars or maybe a little bit less when it came out, and they added some more DLC cars later on and stuff, but it was, at least because of it being a new engine, new system, it was a smaller starting point. But the jump off point to 6 pretty much made up for it, where I think the startup was at 600 cars. So it goes from the small amount in the beginning to the next game. But if they're going to do, like you said, a games as a service, I think they'll have the similar cadence to what they have in Horizon, where you get a couple of cars every month, at least. It sometimes it seems at the minimum at least a car a week, sometimes as many as 2 to 4 cars a week, depending on how the seasons and stuff pan out. But I think motorsport as a whole, I think it's pretty much ready and pretty close to a release point. Redfall, I agree with you as far as September as well. I think it did receive some pushback as far as just making sure everything is buttoned up. We did get to see some of Deathloop, but Deathloop also went through its own kind of midlife, or not midlife, but like a delay prior to its original ETA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of falling along those same lines. But I think Sony being the way it was, with it being a studio that was now being purchased by their competitor, I think there was a bigger push for visibility of the game to ensure that everybody knew you could get it on PlayStation. So I think they probably pushed some content out, because there were some differences if you look at a lot of the early release trailers and the visuals in comparison to the final game. Not too far off, but there were some minute changes that they made along the way. But outside of that,
Yeah.
I think we have another surprise possibly from within Bethesda, but I don't think it's the Roundhouse thing or like mobile or whatever other game people were thinking. I think I keep on wanting to see if they're going to ever mention anything more about Wolfenstein. I know they said that they're not really working on it, but then again, they also said that they weren't really working on a lot of other things prior to Fallout 76, and even leading up to Fallout 4. It was kind of like we're kind of doing XYZ type of thing. So we'll see how it goes. But I think first party, Starfield will probably be the biggest release this year. Redfall definitely will. I won't say definitely, but more than likely will be there. I'm almost certain Motorsport will be there as well, and at least one other surprise that we haven't really talked about. And fingers crossed, maybe even Compulsion's game comes out at some point as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a lot cooking up. They got a lot in the war chest. They got a lot in the oven. There's a lot of stuff. So I mean, there may be some. So we do this and we get excited about it, but realistically, I think a lot of us, when we get kind of past all the excitement, we do realize that there is a chance that things get moved around, games get pushed. Games come out a little later than they're expected. So that's fairly normal with the amount of games that are coming out as well. That are slated to come out the next 3 to 5 years. It's almost a game a month. It's at a certain point in time. It should get to that point to where it's going to damn near be a AAA a month. So we'll see. We'll see about these things. Let's go ahead and see if we want to cover anything else.
And if anything does get moved, the great thing to know is they have the war chest for Game Pass, and Phil will open it up. Stalker 2 already got moved, obviously due to world events. We're not going to see that this year. I imagine that they're going to replace that game with something in Game Pass for December. And that's the great part. They've got, billions of dollars set aside for Game Pass. So anytime a game has to push, let's say a Redfall does have to push, Phil's going to make it up. Phil's going to go out and get a big third-party title and pay whatever he needs to fill that hole. And that's the fantastic part about this whole kind of ecosystem we've got going on with Game Pass right now. So,
I mean, you saw that right now with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
Stalker is supposed to be in March, April. Yep. And that got delayed. And here comes
got Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep. Guardians of the Galaxy. You already see that. And like what you were saying with Redfall, I mean, we have already seen behind the scenes. We've seen leaks and photos and video of the game. And, I think that will drop. I think they were going to drop it during E3, and they probably weren't ready. So they probably pushed it back to about September, like you're saying, because they still haven't said anything out of the summer window. So like you said, September is still summer. So, and Motorsports definitely will probably get a light version, and possibly in December, if they're going to drop it there. And and if they have a road plan laid out for us, that would definitely keep people from being like, oh man, what is this? You know, they're like, okay, here's a road plan. Here's what we're gonna be seeing out of playground games. We're gonna see this. We're gonna see this track, these set of cars, and coming out in the future. Once if they have a road plan with what they bring out, I don't think it'll be. There won't be any big, you know, people won't be upset as much if they have with a road plan.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. They got a lot of stuff that they can work with. Oh, these companies are stocked full of games, IPs, and they got roadmaps that they're working on. So we'll see where things pan out. So I think we got time for maybe one more question, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. So anyone in the chat want to drop a question right now? We'll take the final one. Shout out to Fifth Horseman. Thank you for subbing. Appreciate you, brother. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. You're brand new here, so thank you for that. Shout out to everybody in the chat watching right now. So I think we didn't cover any of the did we talk about Harry Potter at all? We didn't talk about Harry Potter. It didn't come up, huh? The Hogwarts didn't come up. So anybody's opinion on I guess we didn't talk about it. So anybody's opinion on that? Like, what do you think about what it looks like? I know you were talking about the co-op, the non-co-op stuff. I know we touched on that.
I broke it live last night.
Yeah. So outside of that, I mean, expectations, anybody pick day one pickup?
I think it'll be a day one for me at least. It's interesting enough, even though I never read any of the books, never saw any of the movies. I just like the aspect of like it's not a skill tree. It's kind of like you can learn different abilities and things like that.
Fuzzy, did you just admit that live on air? Public?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Nerd card revoked. Yeah. That's
never seen Harry Potter. This is awkward, right?
Yeah. Woo. Wow. Good thing you're married and have kids already, man. You for life. Jeez.
No, but it has that appeal as far as how they have the game laid out. I just like everything I saw in that state of play. It looks like it's going to be an awesome game. And if they have that co-op, yes, no, whatever, that even if it's added later, I think that would be an awesome addition, just given what you can already do or what we've already seen that you can do in the game. So that would just be awesome. And I definitely want to pick it up.
Yeah, I want to get it, but if it, like, I think Pong touched on it yesterday but if it's close to Starfield, I will get it later because Starfield is going to take up my time.
Yeah, that's fair. When it comes out, and Fifth Horseman, shout out to him. He just said that in the chat too. Sorry to cut you off, Psycho. No, you're good, bro.
Oh, it's all good.
But yeah, no, great. So you brought up a great point as far as it does depend when it comes. I don't know what everyone's general expectation of Starfield is going to be, but I'm assuming you're not going to really want to put anything around it, like too close, right? Like I think everything's gonna outside of like Call of Duty stuff like that. No, Call of Duty's taking a break, right? In Call of Duty getting a
yes.
This one, I think they're having. I think they got one more game, and then they're going to do a break after that. I believe.
Yeah, right? One more Modern Warfare.
One more, Modern Warfare 2, and then they'll do a break. But outside of something like that, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a game. It's from what I saw, it definitely piqued my interest. It's something that I know I'll play and jump in. I don't mind the non-co-op or co-op. I do think it's right for co-op. It makes sense to have that option. But if we don't get that day one right out the gate, I'm okay with that. It's a game that I'll still jump in and put some hours into, and I'll enjoy for the most part, though. But you're right. I mean, something close to Starfield, it may not get as much, it may get caught in the world.
At least on Xbox and PC side,
at least
right?
on
you still have the PlayStation side, which kind of gives it an advantage. If they do put it close, they know they'll still sell. And again, no matter what, at the end of the day, the Harry Potter fans are going to come out in droves, right? Even if they're a Starfield fan. Yeah.
Especially if it's good. If it's good, it's a good game.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Because this is a Harry Potter fan's dream right here, right? So again, I think no matter what, it's safe. I do think they're well aware of 11/11, and I don't think they'll do it that week. But I wouldn't be surprised if they still put it out, maybe 2 weeks after that for Black Friday. They may try to hit that mark, and I think that's enough breathing room that you'll still, again, Harry Potter fans aren't going to pass on it, even at the $70 mark, even, all the stuff, even if there's big, gigantic Starfield fans, they're going to play both together. They'll go back and forth on those two games just because of the name. And that's what's going to sell that game at the end of the day. And if it's good, like you said, doubly more. That's going to be a huge holiday game. It's perfect for Christmas time. Harry Potter is considered a Christmas type franchise, even though they don't like do a whole lot of Christmas stuff in there. Yeah, some of the movies show a Christmas scene, but it's kind of crazy. The Harry Potter just feels right when it's snowing and cold outside,
it
right?
does, yeah. It does. No, it makes sense.
Yeah,
It's definitely associated with the Christmas season, even though it's not Christmas related at
Right.
all.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I just think, for me personally, yes, I did say it last night on Xbox Ultimate, said it this morning. It does depend how deep I'm into Starfield and exactly when it drops. Chances are it won't be day one for me. Am I going to pick it up? 100%, but even more so because it is only single player and no multiplayer. And I won't miss out on that experience of, Steele's going to get it day one for sure. I know that he's a huge Harry Potter fan. Psycho will have a day one probably for him as well. I know you just said maybe it depends on Starfield, but I believe Psycho will probably pick it up because, again, big Harry Potter fans are going to be there. But for me, it just depends. Again, if Starfield is taking up my life, I'm not going to get it. I'll wait for a sale because, again, WB is a lot like Ubisoft.
Yeah,
they have some deep sales real quick. Yeah, they go on sale
30 days,
quick.
45 days, and that game will be $40.
So right around Christmas time, we
Yeah.
might get a nice $40 sale on that game, even if it's selling well. And that's when I'll probably pick it up and play it.
Yeah.
Even if I'm playing Starfield.
And
I'm the same way.
Yep. So that's a game that I can definitely see going on. Not because it's a bad game or anything like that, just because of that's traditionally how that studio, the developer functions. Like WB, Ubisoft, those games go on sale. Really, I mean, Valhalla was on sale, goddamn, before the end of the year. Didn't it come out around Christmas? And it was
it came out at launch, right?
Yeah,
November.
Yeah, November. Sorry, November. It was on sale by Christmas. It was already like.
And they still did $1 billion in revenue.
Exactly, still did $1 billion in revenue. So, so no, I absolutely understand that. So I think that once again, to kind of put a bow on the Harry Potter thing, I think it's going to be a great game. It showed great. It looked great, better than I expected. It's going to be a great game. It's going to sell like gangbusters, and I just hope it comes out. It doesn't, it's not plagued with any bugs. We just want a good game at the end of the day. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap up the show on that note. But once again, people, it was a phenomenal evening. We had a lot of great topics. Another new guest. You guys are always kicking it with us here in the chat, hanging out, man, showing love. Tons of mad support, man. So new subscribers, hit that like button. You guys are fucking amazing. But we'll get into our guests, man. Appreciate you first and foremost, Psychonauts, for taking your time hanging out with us. I know that time change can be a bit funky, so think we got to get into a better swing of things. But appreciate you being on. I tell every guest here, brother, that once you're on once, you're family now. So, you may get something from me later on about it, coming on the show another time. But thank you for hanging out with us. Let the people know in chat where they can find you, where they can, get your information from.
Yeah, no, thank you, PTK Bland, for having me on. It was awesome. Love the people in the chat. You guys brought some good questions and good energy tonight. Thank you so much. Fuzzy, Pong, it's awesome to always do a show with you guys. So, yeah, everyone can find me on social media under Psychonauts8, Xbox or Twitter, and so on and so forth. And Wednesdays, find me on the Fun Speculation channel during Fun Pop at 7 p.m. And Friday, we have Xbox Ultimate, 9 p.m. with the magnificent, we're not the 7 no more. I forgot the grade 8. Keep forgetting. So you guys can find me there. Thank you again, guys.
Appreciate you, Psycho, man. Thank you so much for hanging out once again. Shout out to FSP, Mav, Caitlin, everybody over there. We always have a couple members. It seems like every week there's somebody hanging out. Been one big family, but appreciate you, Psycho, for hanging out with us. Once again, your family, bro. So you may get a random DM from me, inviting you back on the show sometime soon. Thank you, bro. Always. Glad you had fun, man. And once again, chat, go support, what he's got going on. Go support Mav and FSP, and go follow Psychonauts to, hear his takes on different gaming stuff. Really high quality, high IQ dude. So appreciate you, man. Thank you once again. So let's go ahead and throw this over to my other compatriot here, Mr. Pong Harvey. Great show. Another one in the bag, brother. Good week. Let everybody know what it's cooking up for you. You greased the wheels again this week, so you're kind of back into the swing of things.
Yeah, if you can tell, I'm doing better this week. I can speak better.
Yeah, man.
No, man, this was an awesome show. Love being here. You guys know that I say it each and every week, but that's because I truly mean it. Love being here on my Saturday nights, even at an hour later than usual. This is, you just gotta get used to this again, but this is awesome. Psycho, brother, of course. Thank you for being here again, man. Always love being on shows with you. Love your takes. And this is one of the original dudes. People may have not heard our story, but Psychonauts is one of the first dudes I met in chat in this community.
Awesome.
And for us to both, he wasn't doing shows at the time. I wasn't doing shows. We just met through chat. Him, myself, and Lupa all met in chat together. Now we get to do a show together on Xbox Ultimate, and I get to do shows like this with Psycho. It's just fantastic. It's just strange how so much good has come out of a terrible situation like the pandemic, man, to meet all of you people. But Psycho is one of the originals. So always great to be here. PTK, Fuzzy, love you guys. Brothers, you are the best. And I just love being here as chat. You guys were amazing. Again, shout out to each and every single one of you for coming through and supporting us in what we do. Without you, we are nothing. We're a group of gamers just sitting around in Xbox Live chatting. That's all we are without any of you. So thank you for coming by and hearing us out and agreeing or disagreeing respectfully with our opinions. That's what this is all about. Otherwise, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter. Next week, Tuesday, Xbox Factor Podcast, Mr. Boomstick, Double Barrel Gaming is the channel. Of course, pretty much everybody here should know that by now. Mav when he's available, Archimedes when he's available. We got Mr. Joanna Dark. We got VJ. We got myself when I'm available. And of course, Mr. Boomstick. All good things green on Xbox Factor Podcast. Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Thursdays, PM in the PM is back. Mav has been ultra busy in real life. We had to take a week off. He took a couple weeks off some shows. We are back. Mav thinks he's got everything kind of settled down now to where he can do the show. So we will be back this Thursday, PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM. We just had a great show last Thursday. Please go check it out if you haven't. But it's just me and Mav. Deep dive in some subjects. Just off the cuff, a lot like what Steele and I do on Saturday mornings. Off the cuff, not planned out. We're just going to talk. We're going to talk with the chat, and we're going to see what's going on out there. We have a great time. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. PM in the PM over on Fun Speculations channel. Back at it, like Psycho said, Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Join the Great 8. It's usually 4, 5, 6 of us, depending on how many people can actually be there. But we've got a family over there, and you can tell when we sit around and talk. And even if we have a guest, it's family. Well, much like it is here with PTK, that's what we do over there. We just have a good time talking about this industry that we love, and it's obviously Xbox centric, but we even get into some PlayStation topics as necessary. Join us, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Saturday mornings, Living Split Screen, Steel and I. Look, we can only do one show a week, okay? Steele and I would love to put out a lot more content. You know, Steele and I, we did 4.5 hours this morning because it's been 2 weeks, okay? It's always going to be 3 hours plus, but we did 4.5 hours. Steele and I would love to be able to do a show daily. We would love to be able to make videos. We'd love to be that channel that puts out content, but we can only do one show. We are in mission 1K. It's hard to gain traction, as anybody who does this knows. So please bring a friend, tell a friend, drop on by. Living Split Screen's all one word. Find us Saturday mornings or listen to us later. It does not matter. You're going to get a lot of entertainment and a lot of talk out of us. That's what we do there every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Join us, Living Split Screen. Otherwise, we'll be back here, of course, on the shop next Saturday evening. It is the golden age of gaming. Get out there and enjoy it. We've got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands coming out this Friday. Tune in March 22nd on Twitch on the Gearbacks official channel. They're going to have a special showing. They're going to have a bunch of the actors there. It's going to be a great time. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands this Friday. I'm hyped. I'm getting day one. Steele's already downloaded his copy. We're going to be rocking and rolling on that. We got Crusaders Kings 3 the following week. Look, it's game after game after game is what I'm saying. We just got Tunic Shadow dropped in a Game Pass. It's crazy out here, but it's the best time ever to be a gamer. So go out there, enjoy it, play what you love what you play. I will talk to you all real soon.
Man, appreciate you, Pong. Thank you. Once again, go follow Pong on Twitter. That's the easiest place to keep up with this man. I promise you. Okay, so just go to Twitter, follow him. You will be able to find his itinerary there. I promise you. So shout out to you, Pong. Appreciate you. The battery, the Duracell of the podcast, bro, man. Always bringing the energy every week, man. A fan favorite, man. But Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man, wrap us up here, bro.
Oh man, it was awesome being on here with you guys. Thank you, Psychonauts, for coming on here tonight. It was awesome hearing your takes on things, and it's always awesome doing podcasts with you, man. And as always,
Always.
always love being on here with you, PTK and Pong. You guys are my family away from family. My gaming brother, and that I always enjoy chatting with. Man, the chat always, you guys are bringing it. Awesome. Thank you so much for putting up with my ramblings on GT7 or just racing stuff in general. I appreciate you guys listening about it. But man, for anybody that wants to continue hearing any of my ramblings on motorsport stuff or whatever other game I'm playing, which Ghostwire Tokyo comes out next, was that Monday for me, so looking forward to that. Just follow me on Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also catch me on Breakfast with Boom on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then if everything going, or hopefully if everything goes smooth for Mav with FSP, you can find us at 6 p.m. on Saturdays with just me, Mav, and Just Key on FSP podcasts. And then look forward to next Saturday at 9 p.m. this time, Eastern time, with you guys back here again, at it with whatever news of the week is going to be popping up. And I have a gut feeling we're going to get some surprises beyond Monday. So we'll look forward to next week. But man, awesome night. Thank you guys for coming out.
Appreciate you, Fuzz, every single week, man. And last but not least, your boy PTK Blam across the board. Hit me up at PTK Blam on Twitter. If you want to hit me up on Xbox, play some games, always on playing something, Destiny, Elden Ring, whatever the case may be. Tunic was playing out all today, so hit me up. I will be on a little bit later on tonight, so definitely be playing some games. But once again, ultimately, another great show in the bag. Chat was amazing every single week. You guys are continuously showing us support. So new guests next week. So that'll be fun as well. We always try and keep things fresh around here at the Shop Podcast. But once again, golden age of gaming. Pong's already said it. You guys enjoy your weekend. Peace out. We'll see you guys next week. We're out of here.
Later, everybody.